Hey, everybody, it's Friday. Welcome to Bombcast REVENGEANCE. I'm your host, Jan Ochoa, on this lovely February 28th, 2025. Happy Rare Disease Day. Happy anniversary to my parents. And speaking about parents, we've got our father figure. He's the internet's father figure, but also simultaneously the cool uncle and your older cousin, Jeff Grubb.
Hi, you whippersnappers are looking really cool today. Tell me all about the latest Pogs and YuGiOhs.
Speaking about YuGiOh, he's actually going to talk about YuGiOh later, so this is proper.
Oh.
John McDowell.
Hey, listeners, this is ASMR in both of your ears. But
Stop that.
In Jeff Grubb's right ear. And I love that I have this control.
It's
over
really,
right now.
really bothersome. The whole theme song, because it's also affecting Jan, only played in my right ear. And it's only in my right ear now because I turned my headphones around. I'm getting split audio for some. It's insane. I'm sorry. I'm going to be in a bad mood for this podcast.
That's what we want.
Split audio. I played Split Fiction with them, and life hasn't been quite the same. Bless you. Nikki Grayson.
Hey, what's up? Anyway, so that's good, huh?
I turned on Windows Sonic for headphones, and it didn't fix anything, but it does make it sound like you're all in a different room.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Like, is the room close? You remember when there was a YouTube trend of putting Redbone? It was like you were listening to Redbone, but in different places.
Uh-huh.
There was like one of my favorite YouTube videos was Redbone, except you're standing outside of the party that you don't want to go into. And it just had so many filters applied to it that it sounded like it was really high up in the mix and then really, really far away. So it was just like... It's really good.
What a week it has been. It's Friday. It's we've been streaming nonstop since
what the fuck
since
happened?
Wednesday.
How'd that happen?
No one
Folks,
knows.
if you missed a couple announcements on Tuesday's podcast, we're doing some things. We've been cooking up some things, cooking up some adjustments, and no one be scared or alarmed. We are not taking anything away. In fact, we may be perhaps adding too much.
We're giving you more.
We're giving you more, and you don't have to do anything but pleasantly sit there. Maybe adjust your seat. You can put us on whatever program you want to be watching or listening on, but we'll be here for at least 5 to 6 hours a day. And then also, if you haven't noticed, Game S Mornings, soon to be renamed, is starting now at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. So we have to change the name because it won't be morning for Grubb anymore.
That's right.
It just doesn't make sense.
It'll be noonish, and that just isn't a good word.
Up at noon.
Oh, okay, I like it.
Oh, no one's ever used that.
Is that good? Is that one good?
I
No, it's
like
ours now.
that.
I found it.
Okay.
It's mine now.
Have we ever used or tossed around the breakfast grub anywhere?
No,
Oh,
that's good.
Really good.
It's really good. I mean, it defeats the purpose of naming a morning show. In the
That's why
afternoon.
we didn't.
No,
bring
for
it
sure.
up.
But
Yeah, but I could just do that.
you could just do that. Like that could
Yeah.
just be. You could just have a show in the morning.
Yeah, I
called
could do it
could.
before Game S Mornings, yeah.
Okay, I was
Or
going to
if-
say, because we already got the art for that one.
Oh, yeah. No, that will still be what it's going to be called, yeah. And then we'll do Breakfast Grub occasionally. That'll be fun. I'm never going to do that because I'm never going to do a show before Game S Mornings.
It's been a week, y'all. How's everyone doing? I don't know how long this podcast should go. We started a little bit later than it says in Asana, so I'm just gonna go till the next Asana.
We also
notification
have the
pops up.
next show.
We
so
have
can
the
go as long
next
as we
show.
want.
All right.
That's us again.
This
So-
could go until this could go for 3 hours according to my calendar.
Yeah.
All right. Oh,
I
you
got
know what
more
we
to do.
should do? Okay. This was originally supposed to be a Monster Hunter dedicated BCR, but we had to punt for scheduling reasons and miscellaneous reasons because of how we're streaming now. Also, a lot of the crew hasn't played a substantial amount of it yet to properly do a review cast. What we should do is we should do a check-in on Fantasy Critic at the end of the episode.
What? Why?
Yeah,
I don't know
I love
if we need
this.
to do that.
Why? Why do you have to
Oh,
take
wait,
issue with
I
that,
don't know
Nikki?
if
And also, I wonder
Just
who's
want
winning.
I
publicize
just-
Nikki's railing.
I
Like, what?
don't think. Yeah, I just don't think that we need to have like a follow-up to kind of anything that we did in the past. I think that we should just kind of close our eyes and move forward.
Nikki, every new episode of a podcast is still linking back to the old one.
Not if you don't look at the title.
That's right. Just subscribe and leave.
You just subscribe and leave. If you don't listen to them, they don't mean anything. That's what I've been doing in my Bim Bam for like 4 years.
I turned on mono in Windows.
Did it work?
Yeah.
But
Now everything on Windows will be mono unless I remember to turn this off, which I won't.
Oh, here. Oh, I got you. Hey, Google.
Oh, I'm going to have to bleep that.
Oh, no, she didn't. She didn't reply.
Everyone else is okay. Anyone else have some grievances they want to share? Some notes you want to write out loud?
It was 84 degrees yesterday and then 87 the day before. It is February.
True.
We're so cooked. Like it's over. We're just cooked.
I see snow on the ground. Does that make you feel better?
What does it say? Turn off mono audio.
Mono.
He made a post-it note. Now, where are you gonna put it so you remember?
That's a good question. On my computer monitor.
Put it on your phone.
Put it on.
Good answer.
Put it either on your phone or over your own face on the screen.
No, on the screen.
Okay, so he put it on his
I
forehead.
don't see how this is going to help.
See, you can tell exactly how much Jeff Grubb listens to a sentence from that series right there.
I listened to the first 3 words. And I was like, yeah, all right. All right, put it over myself on the screen. There you go.
You'll see it. Now it's there.
Yeah.
Perfect. But it's also covering up the pregnant Sonic.jpg, so I can't have that.
Oh,
All
you
right.
can't have that.
Of course not.
No, of course not. Okay. Yes. It's been a lot of work. I mentioned this yesterday on Game S Mornings, soon to be renamed, but I feel like my brain is forming the wrong kind of wrinkles.
Now, what does that mean? Like you aren't making the learnings that you feel like you should be making
smart.
at the age?
In the movie Inside Out, when memories are created and they're different colors, like
Yes.
all of Jan's folds in his brain right now are being formed by rage and
All right,
stress,
that makes a lot of sense.
which I live with, Jan. I know what you're dealing with 100%. But listen, they're not wrong. They're just different.
Well,
Yeah, a lot of mine are I don't remember the emotions, but it's like the red guy, the new
Anger.
purple guy, not
Fear?
so much
Ennui.
Amy Poehler,
Ennui.
the green one, and then
envy.
Maya Hawk.
You're a cock.
Tua.
Maya Hawk.
Oh, Maya Hawk.
Maya Hawk. Yeah, okay.
Oh wow, that's an unfortunate name. Anyway,
I watched Inside Out on a plane.
Okay.
And I don't think the back half of the movie. I don't remember if I had audio or if I was just reading the subtitles or not.
Sure.
wait,
Like, I just don't remember. She plays hockey in that one, and she's kind of mean to her friends.
Yes.
Okay, so I did see the entirety of the, and then she has a panic attack, like the cat in Puss in Boots.
Yeah. That's where panic attacks were invented. Yes.
Yeah, that was the first time there was a panic attack on the screen, and then they said we can do that too. So we'll have a
Yeah, they
child
broke through the glass ceiling is what they refer to that.
yeah, listen, Boots, The Last Wish. Spoilers, everyone. The Last Wish was anxiety.
Whoa.
Yeah.
In that flick, sorry, we'll talk about video games in a second. In that flick, right? So there's Kitty Softpaws and Puss in Boots, and then they have a dog. Is the the dog Perito?
Yeah.
So is the implication that Kitty Softpaws and Puss in Boots are a couple, and that the dog is their kid, or is the dog friend coded?
I think the dog is friend coded.
I'm gonna just Google image search all these things, and then I'll give you my opinion based on
Okay,
that
yeah.
research.
You haven't seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? That movie's great.
I think I have, and I put it on for my kids, and I was watching something, and I remember thinking, this is great. And now I don't remember anything you said, so I must not have been paying too close attention.
At the end, they become friends, but I can't tell if it's a found family, we're all equals, or if the dog is kid coded.
I think it's found family.
It's found family
with a
'cause
dog.
It's a Hollywood movie.
Okay. Found family with a dog. Wow. The race wars
but,
are over.
but the dog is like, oh, you're cute and kind of useful.
Oh,
So-
don't search Puss in Boots by accident, everybody. Okay.
Christ.
Okay. If you can't tell, this is a video game podcast.
On a Friday, so it doesn't count.
I was punished with that knowledge that Jeff Grubb just bestowed on me, but I was also punished by Jeff Grubb to play The Thing Remastered.
Oh, hey.
And let me tell you, I've been picking it up. Runs fantastic on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, real nice.
And Dan talked about it last Tuesday on the podcast, and I think Mike has actually been streaming it as well. When did we stray away from this future of FPSs being like cool squad shooters?
Yeah.
Squad.
Yeah. I
like-
don't know. You're right, though. Like, there was definitely that period where we got Republic Commando.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I never played ODST. I assume there's some
There's
of
some
that.
light.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think at that point, what I said to Mike Minotti the other night, who's also furnished with this, is that was in that period on PS2 where graphic fidelity was increasing, but it wasn't increasing so much that it took all the oxygen out of the room for other ideas. So developers are like, yeah, sure, you're making the game look cool on this PS2. That's awesome. But we still have plenty of time to think about like what AI could be and a bunch of other features and have them doing like cool things that represent that they are thinking on their own and having their own feelings. And there was space for that. And then over time, as like the publishers looked at like, okay, we only have a certain amount of budget and it's all going to be taken by making the best looking game possible because that's what is going to sell these things. Eventually, we're just going to have to start cutting some stuff off, and it became a liability to make interesting like NPC characters that you work with. Obviously, there are exceptions to that, but I think you would not, if a Thing game was being made today, you would not assume that it would work the way that this one does, which is much more interesting than a lot of other games.
Yeah, and you and Dan alluded to this last Tuesday, but the AI companions are actually pretty useful when they're not freaking out. Like,
Yes.
they actually do assist you in helping kind of like calm the situation a bit, or at least taking care of the thing situation that pops up occasionally. And it just fondly reminded me of SOCOM.
Sure.
Mostly because of like, you know, the squad aspect and how much you do kind of rely on it. And you could kind of just brute force your way in moments of the thing, but then you're handicapping your experience because you really need to rely on the squad, even if they are freaking out in the portions where they are annoying. And I just wish that perhaps we lived in that alternate future where we did rely on a squad more, because I fondly remember the SOCOM days, even though I was a child screaming into a microphone. But Republic Commando Grub, I had always wanted to get into that game. And I guess an offshoot of this potential future kind of is like the Mass Effect game where you do have your squad of 3.
Sure.
You know, your Kingdom Hearts games where it's you, Sora, Donald, and Goofy. That's kind of an offshoot of this as well. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, it was a misclick.
I'm not sure it was. Maybe the first time, but not after that.
But I'm pleasantly surprised though, Grubb. Like, this was a fun. This has been a fun punishment because of. I'm just stuck thinking of like, wow, this must have been insane on the PS2.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these experiences, and there's even some tense parts for me playing this in 2025, and I'm playing it on a Steam Deck, and it's like I'm experiencing a little bit of choice paralysis, or like there's some tense moments where it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want. Okay, it's cool. And it's great that it manages to do that and create that tension, given that it still looks like a PS2 game, but you know, nice and shiny.
Yeah, I think it's definitely from that era where you felt like anything was going to be possible with games. I think there were a lot of like false starts of like, hey, this is what gaming's going to be like in the future. And that includes stuff like that has nothing to do with squads, like Shadow of the Colossus. It's like, oh man, things are going to be artistic and expressive, and that's the future of games. And it just absolutely wasn't. They really backed away from that in a lot of ways. But for this game, it's like, yeah, it is a lot of ideas, and they still kind of do the thing that they say on the box, which is make a good representation of the feelings you get from watching the thing. And that is making, everything feel flinty and cold. Obviously, Antarctica. You get to visit a lot of the set pieces from the movie. You get to see like sort of them after what happened in the movie happened. So you get to kind of like deal with the ramifications of that. And all of that it pieces together in a surprisingly solid way. Like you just in that moment, it was probably very easy for people to overlook this game because at that time, movie license games still had a well-earned bad reputation, and on top of that, this is a movie adaptation or a movie or video game sequel for a franchise that had not been around for a long time at that point. So it's like, what? Why are you even doing this? This is so weird. Yeah.
Do y'all think this bit of conversation is like, especially the video games can't be anything aspect of it, kind of has me like, is that because people are accustomed to a period of time where a licensed video game could do something cool and interesting as made by a company who had enough money at least to get a license like the Thing to then go out and try something? Do you think that people are then now still looking, because they have been taught by the market to expect good video game experiences to only come from larger studios and larger publishers, that they are not looking at smaller teams who are actively doing weird shit? Do you think that's just like, or I think the answer to the question that I'm asking is yes, but I guess the question that I'm actually asking is like, what is the work, or how do you do the work required to get people to expand their horizons and look past like the EAs and the 2Ks and the Microsofts and the Sonys for games that do which is not, I don't mean to like take away from anything that the Thing did, but like to these experiences that are new and different do exist, right? They just don't exist out of these AAA or AA even studios that people are expecting them to. What do you think the work has to be done is to get people
that's
to...
kind of been the question of the week in some ways, where people are wondering, how do we get people looking at smaller experiences? As people are starting to, I think, slowly feel a little more burned out by a lot of games feeling the same, because bringing it back to what we were talking about at the top of this topic, we have moved sort of from an ideas oriented, come up with this unique idea, figure out how to make it work technically, figure out the graphics later. The graphics aren't as big of a deal because it's a PS2 game. It's not a CRT. It's not as noticeable. Now we all have these insane 4K TVs, and every little pixel is displaying an insane amount of detail that you just can't ignore that stuff anymore. We have shifted so hard into the direction of, we need to make a good looking game first, rather than come up with that idea first and then figure everything out later. I think it's something that, nobody's figured out yet. And I think it's an interesting thing to discuss, because how do we get people looking at, say, Steam Next Fest, where there are all these ideas coming out and all these random wacky ideas that are really cool. I think part of it is because a lot of that happens on PC. And consoles, it's just so much harder to get an idea out there because of how licensing works and how publishing works on there. Whereas with Steam, it's so much easier to just sign up for an account, put your game out there, or even do something even smaller than that on your own website or on itch.io or something like that. I think it's a good point to bring up, though, Nick.
It's so crazy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jan.
Well, I was going to say that when I get it so infuriated when I see these takes online saying that like gaming is done, gaming is boring, gaming is the same and hasn't changed. And you look at those people putting those takes out on the internet, and they're primarily just a console player. And I'm not taking away from that perspective. If that's the only thing you're playing, sure, but indie games still do exist on those platforms.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they are necessarily looking for them or even open to those other experiences. And Sean, you brought up Steam Next Fest. I thought Skin Deep was fantastic.
Dude, so
that's very cool.
Yeah, that's the exact thing that I've been thinking about, especially in the wake of it this week. Skin Deep, we played it on Wednesday ? And that's at the Steam Next Fest. It's it's from the team at Blendo Games. And it is an immersive sim built in the Doom 3 engine, like id Tech 3. Which is incredible. It looks really good. Like it is an HD. Like it looks really good. But like it is doing a bunch of shit because the last thing that it is worried about is what the video game looks like from a technical perspective.
Right. Sure.
That isn't to say that it doesn't look good or doesn't have like aesthetic design or whatever. Like it looks great and is also a very narrow experience that knows what it wants to do to you and knows what it wants you to do to it. I think this is also so deeply the fault of the platform holder because there is literally no reason that Microsoft or Sony is not kicking these small studios an extra $15,000 to be like, okay, can you just kick out a build of this game that runs on the Xbox and we will do our own Next Fest equivalent and we'll put it in the summer and we could maybe call it the Summer of Arcade or something.
Whoa.
And it's kind of a bunch of smaller video game experiences that you can kind of taste and sample, get a little amuse-bouche of a video game. And then because you open the store on any of these things and it's like, hey, did you know that FIFA is real?
Yeah.
You ever heard of FIFA? You can give us $90 for FIFA right now. It's like, yeah, dog. Like,
sorry, Nikki, go ahead.
No, that's it. It's like, yeah, I know FIFA exists. Everybody knows FIFA exists. Your job, I think, as the platform holder, is to be like, hey, what if you played anything else? Actually,
Right,
and
that
Steam is
platform
really,
holder,
really good.
They're
at
saying FIFA. Steam Next Fest is saying FIFA. And
FIFA, exactly.
I haven't checked it out yet, but it's like Silent Hill Soccer or something.
Oh,
yeah, no, that
okay.
sounds fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I opened up the PlayStation Store for the first time in a while earlier this week, and I was just served. It felt like I was being served nothing but ads for games that I have no interest in, and it just wasn't surfacing anything super new that was also coming out or hyping that out. It was just like, hey, here's NBA 2K, here's WWE 2K. I'm like, the PlayStation, you know what games I play.
Yeah, they know what games you play, and they also like. No one needs. You're not discovering FIFA.
Yeah,
you know, like if you're going to buy FIFA, you have either already gone to the store to buy it. Obviously, I know that's not how it works, but like you've already made the active decision to go get FIFA, or you already know. All I have to do is type in EAFC into the fucking box and it'll give me the fucking game that I want.
That's
like
the exact feeling I have anytime I see an ad on YouTube or on my TV or whatever for Walmart or McDonald's or anything. And it's not a new item or new service. It's just, hey, remember that we exist? Yeah, dog, you're down the street and you have a giant sign. I know you exist. You don't have to advertise to me. I think to play devil's advocate for a second here, we also have a unique perspective on this, though, as people who play next to everything that we can. And so that's definitely why the consoles are still doing that to an extent, where sure, it does seem silly when it's like the sports game of the year, because everyone kind of knows those exist. But when the new Call of Duty is out, they do try to get that in front of as many eyes as possible, because that's still overwhelmingly what the general audience wants. And so they see that as a way to get notified when the new thing that is the thing that they like is out. So I think it's serving a different audience over there on consoles a little bit. But I do still feel the pain that it would be cool if we could get more experiences like I think a game that sort of exemplifies what we're talking about here was last year's Mouthwashing, where everyone was raving about it. It looked like a PS1 game, parentheses positive, because it was very intentional. And that's the kind of thing where if you know someone just played Silent Hill 2 Remake, hey, that would have been a great thing to just put up on PSN's recommended section right there. So I think absolutely, like Nikki was saying, we could have these platform holders doing a better job of getting these smaller and more unique experiences out there for people and putting them in front of people.
It's also... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick that there is hope here. It's just not maybe the best hope that we could hope for. And that is, this stuff is happening in some places like Roblox, where people are creating a bunch of different weird little games.
Get this guy out there.
And you know who else is going to do the exact same thing? Grand Theft Auto 6. They're planning to do that. And they're like, well, once we can get it into our thing and we can get a cut of everything, we're happy to let people experiment. Up until that point, where experimentation scares the hell out of us. But if we can get some kids in college to do it for us, oh, that's good money. So it's like,
let's trust a bunch of 19-year-olds with everything.
I mean, it's worked out really,
it's worked
really
out
good
so far. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you have a point there, though, because when I listen to parents who are into gaming talk about what their kids are into, they do talk about how their kid found basically this game within Roblox, within Minecraft, within these things that we think of as just another game. But no, now they are kind of stores. They are their own storefront within a game. So
I mean, if you see the Roblox UI, it's just like looking at like a YouTube where it's like just how many people are playing, like how many views it has or whatever.
That's what Fortnite is nowadays.
That's what Fortnite, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the temporal pincer movement that is happening is on the top end. It's these giant corporations that have the platforms that they're building to service up stuff that is made by the community. And then on the bottom side, it is Steam offering a open platform so that people, basically the same thing can happen, just not inside of one video game. And that's when corporations get interested in new ideas. It is when they don't have to come up with them, but they can still capitalize on them. Right. And that's where a lot of the trouble comes from, because there is that space in between. The reason we keep talking about the middle space being so deprived of content and new ideas and stuff worth paying attention to, it's because that's where you own all the risk. And it's so expensive to like compete and get noticed that a lot of times taking chances isn't worth it. So I don't think there is a solution to that. I think what's going to happen is both this temporal pincer movement's going to work, and it's going to gobble everything up and kind of just meet in the middle.
Yeah. I just think it's so frustrating to me. And especially, like, obviously I've been thinking about and talking about this in the wake of the Warner Brothers stuff from earlier this week, but everyone is so dead set on making zero money instead of some money that they would rather let stuff die and fall by the wayside instead
negative
of
money.
make they would either make zero money or lose money instead of make some money, because making some money would be slightly more difficult than making
opportunity
zero
cost.
money. Even though they've already put money, whatever.
Well, no one wants to be the producer on the project that didn't make as much money as the guy over there.
The last thing.
Yeah. So it's like everyone doesn't want to take ownership of that, and so they get scared. Yeah.
And it's like you don't have opportunities to make more money if you don't lose a little money on the way or make less money sometimes, right? Like the whole reason movies work is that sometimes you make small movies that get critical acclaim so that you can then get people to make big movies that make money to then feed the movies that make the critical acclaim to then feed the fucking circle, right? And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I understand why, but it is so nuts to me that I have watched 6 hours of NBA content this week and I have not seen a single commercial for the video game Avowed.
Yeah.
I
mean, they don't believe that people. They don't believe that people. That they can convince people to buy these video games anymore. Like I definitely was like thinking about Super Bowl commercials for the last 10 years and how we haven't really had, for the most part, any traditional video game commercials on the Super Bowl. And like, that's the biggest audience in the world. But they're like, yeah, but that's too wide of an audience, too much money. We need to be hyper focusing on the people that we kind of already have on the board or about to purchase our thing, and we can reach them elsewhere.
Jeff, I feel like this is the kind of thing you would be knowledgeable about or pay attention to. Do you think that marketing is kind of dying in focus groups right now?
Well, I think a lot of things are dying in focus groups, but I think.
Well, I feel like there used to be an age where these developers and the publishers, I suppose especially, would kind of just put out a marketing campaign that maybe it was weird, maybe it was wild, maybe the game was weird and wild, maybe it wasn't, but they would try something and they would just put it out there. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. But I feel like now they're so worried about, is this going to hit or not, that well, we can't spend the million on it.
Right. You need to be proven right before you actually do it, and the reality is you can't know until you do it, because people will always tell you they want something or they don't want something, and then it'll go out into the world and they'll have a different opinion. We know this over and over again, that people will say one thing and then the data will show the exact opposite. So you just can't know through focus groups.
I have two things. One, I'm literally trying to remember a video game commercial after the Jason PlayStation commercial. Do you remember that one? The PlayStation commercial where all of the PlayStation characters were in that bar, and
Right,
it was like
yes,
Solid
totally.
Snake
Okay,
was
yes.
in there, and Kratos was in there, and
Yes,
the
that was a good
Medal
commercial.
of Honor guys were in there. All the stars
Mike Minotti
are
wants you
here.
to know that I think the character was called Michael.
Michael.
And
Yeah,
I
he
wonder
would
why
know
he's
that,
adamant
wouldn't
about
he?
that.
Wouldn't
Of
he?
course,
Yeah.
Michael. They were talking
Yeah.
to Michael Minotti at the gamer bar. Yeah. And then in that conversation, I just remembered that Xbox commercial where the Titan from Titanfall was in that office building. And then and to the point where I bring these up because it was like, were those tacky as fuck? Like, yeah, absolutely. But
Sure.
also they
Remember
were trying to
Sticky.
sell you on the idea. Exactly. They were trying to sell you on the idea of like, this is a place where you go to do a thing that you cannot do in any other medium, right?
Yeah.
And they don't have the confidence or courage to do that anymore.
I mean, just like we're realizing with all of our, problems, and what we're describing here is just like a changing landscape that feels like a problem, probably is a problem in a lot of ways. But it does go back to the internet happened, right?
Yeah.
The internet happened, and it
Dang it.
made it so it's like publishing magazines is a bad idea. Putting ads in magazines is a bad idea, rather than just, we have all this data that tells us how to reach the exact person who's most likely to spend money on us. And now, because we have that data, we should just make a game for that person. Exactly. Cut out all the shit they say they don't want. And we have this information because the internet has enabled us to track people's data in a way that the human race never had access to before.
Yeah.
And so this has empowered us. And really what it did is lock us down to like, certain ideas are allowed to have a chance to go into the market, and others, if they cannot be proven before they are born out, get killed in the crib. And it's and all of that for across the board, politics, everything does go back to, we are not good at the internet yet as a species.
Yeah.
No,
I do
no.
think another part of it, though, what Nikki was getting at there, though, is that a platform used to be a place where you could say, I do this, this, and this, and I play this, this, and this. And that's how you could have ads like the PlayStation Michael ad, where you could have all these characters who you're like, these are my pals. These are like at the end of a hard day, I come back home and I see Kratos, I see Lightning, I see these characters who I want to sit down with, go on an adventure with. And, this is who I hang out with at the end of the day. What would an ad like that look like nowadays, where dev cycles are so long, where we are so focused about like the sequel that kind of looks like the last game, and also this other game over there, and the game that our other team is making? Like if a PS5 ad had that, it would be like Astro, Aloy, Kratos, and
I mean, they would probably put the
Ellie?
Bloodborne hunter in there, freak out the Bloodborne fans, and then they wouldn't make anything with Bloodborne. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like we're so far removed from that era. And it's kind of a bummer, not just to be like nostalgic and like old people talking about how good gaming used to be back in the day and everything like that. But it is a bummer that the state of the industry right now has sort of moved us away from that feeling.
That's the other thing, right? Like I think the platform war, the console war stuff is trite and shitty and stupid and is like not valuable. But the one thing I will give it, there was, and not, I like really don't want to like be like, like actually it's cool when people care about brand, but like there was enough, people gave enough of a shit to be like, well, I am passionate about the things that I am engaging with. Now, am I doing it in a way that is like safe and normal and regular and like makes me not seem like
as
I'm a
a
crazy
species,
person?
we're famously great at tribalism. That's the thing.
Like really, really good at it. And I do think that there is a fine line between like tribalism for the sake of, I actually really fucking like this thing and I really want to just tell you about it. And leaning into that and being like, actually, it is really cool that we are the place where you
feeling
can
part
do
of a
these
story,
things.
right? Like
Yes.
all of society is stitched
sports
together by
is,
telling each
right?
other stories. Yes,
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
like the story of the United States government existing. It's just a story, and we all agreed on it for a while, and it went okay for a little bit.
Okay.
For a little bit. But it's like, so when you could tell yourself that I am part of this story of this brand, as cheesy as it sounds, like it was a powerful the factor in making you feel part of something, which made the whole thing feel more important. And they absolutely have lost that luster. Not entirely, but they have lost it to a, Nintendo's been able to maintain it more than others, and Sony definitely still has it to a certain degree. But they're willingly selling off some parts of that to have these broader appeals or try to reach the wider audience, and it feels like it's kind of lost its way a little bit.
The Nintendo part is really weird though, because it's like Nintendo used to be the alternative. And that was the thing that was defining for it. But now it isn't even that. Like, Nintendo was just Nintendo, which doesn't mean anything if it's not in conversation with something else. It just isn't it's just not the other thing.
Yeah, I'm too old to have that perspective, right? Because for me, it was the thing.
For sure.
Like when I was a kid. Like, to me, it's Disney, right?
That makes sense.
To be fair, though, Nintendo was the thing for like a generation and a half, but it was your defining generation.
Think about, yes, exactly. It was my 11-year-old generation, right?
All right. I've been kind of like marinating on this thought for a hot minute now, ever since Nikki, you brought up the Hollywood example, and then Grub talking about risk and reward. And I can't help but think of two actors in particular from the Marvel universe. I think of Chris Evans, who kind of made his bread and butter playing Captain America, and unfortunately has not reached the most success. He's been in films. He's been in a bunch of movies. I can't say I've seen all of them, nor do I have interest in them. And maybe his cachet for other roles is kind of, I don't want to say run dry, but my confidence in Chris Evans has kind of like dwindled a little bit. Now, the other side of that is Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan is cleaning up, and a big presence in this current movie award season, and he's taking on a bunch of roles. But he's also still maintaining that he is Bucky in the Marvel universe. And I think what I'm getting at is that it feels like these big companies are just trying to stick to the safe bets and not just trying to ride the wave of that big name, that big hit that brought them to the table, and completely ignoring the possibility, like you said, Nikki, of making money where you can do these smaller things. You can have these other joint projects that will bring you success if you let them. Like, when did Iron Man 1 come out? 2008? 2007?
I think, yes.
Yeah.
That was fucking stupid at the time. The idea that someone somewhere was like, we'll make a movie about Iron Man and we'll put Robert Downey Jr. in it was fucking dumb.
I was like, that's a great idea. And that's how you know it's stupid. Because I was like, this sounds awesome.
But it was like, there was literally no reason for them to do that. That was a Hail Mary. And it then birthed the most profitable film franchise in the history of the format. So instead of being like, to your point, Jan, instead of being like, okay, well, what if we tried a different thing that shouldn't work? And then they're like, well, we'll make 55 of these. And then we'll just keep making them. We'll keep fucking that chicken until it keeps going. Like, I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Yeah. No one knows what happens when you fuck the chicken enough, but you're gonna gotta keep trying.
There is currently a song that I suggest everyone check out. It's called Mo Chicken. Speaking about punishments, though.
Yeah, in closing, the Thing Remastered, pretty good, huh?
Thing Remastered. It's funny when your dude is freaking out and his little parts is going.
Okay.
It's great. Also, hey, remake more PS2 games. Treasure Trove. Over there. Where the fuck is Dark Cloud 1 and where's the fuck is Dark Cloud 2?
Where's Amazing Island HD? That was on the PlayStation 2. It was on the GameCube, but they should make Amazing Island HD.
He is full of good ideas.
Wow. I remember this kid.
I remember the cover art. Is this a game that the kids really liked?
No.
I liked it. Not a lot of us did, but I liked it. Now, could I tell you a single fucking thing about that video game?
I don't
Absolutely not. I think it was Pokemon adjacent. I think you could make them. I think you could combine the lizards. Perhaps.
Probably. Sounds right.
.mp3.
Chimeras, something like that.
Yeah, okay. But speaking about punishments, Sean, it looks like you're wrapping up a punishment here. You have been checking out Wario World.
That's right. Yeah. So Wario World on the GameCube, not Wario Land, is the punishment that Mike assigned to me when he got first place in Bowser's Hurry a few weeks back. And so I've been chipping away at it. I think I talked about this somewhere, but it's been my while I'm preheating the oven for dinner game where I just play one level because the levels are 20 minutes to half an hour. So I'll preheat the oven, play half the level, put the pizza in, come back and finish the level. That's how I've been playing this game. It's been kind of fun. I've been playing
rules.
I've been playing on CRT back there on the Wii. I just sit down in front of it like I did when I was a kid. And it's been a fun time because it does a really good job of translating Wario Land's mechanics into 3D. It is much more puzzle platformer, is much more beat 'em up. It's weird and it's kind of BS in a lot of ways, but it's a Wario game, so it can get away with that. Every time I'm like, this is a bad mechanic. If I fall off the ledge, I'm in an underworld and I need to fight my way out until I find a spring that puts me back on the level.
Dumb in a good way.
It's dumb and I hate it, but it's Wario, so he can get away with it.
How many other characters can get away with it?
Not
Tifa?
Not a lot.
Oh, you're... Amen, brother.
She can do whatever she wants.
It's weirdly
Sonic's gotten away with it his whole life.
No,
that's
he
true.
can't.
No,
He's
he's
different.
right. He's right. The game is weirdly Super Mario 3D Land before 3D Land, where you actually are required to do X amount of these to finish every level. You go. You ground pound, you butt stomp these doors on the floor that takes you to another mini puzzle level that is perspective based. You have to rotate the camera to see certain elements of the puzzle because they were like, hey, this shit's in 3D now. We can do this. And you have to solve the puzzle in order to get a MacGuffin to then complete the level. This game is weird in the most wonderful way. I'm having a great time with it. Like I said, there's some BS in it, but I think in general, I'm having a lot of fun. And I'm right at the end of it. I had to just basically do the final boss fight, I think. So that's what I'm talking about now.
Just to let you know, that final boss fight is horseshit.
I'd imagine, because some of them have
it's
been.
It's just fucking horseshit. You fight this
there's one where
pirate asshole. It fucking sucks.
3 cups. It does cup shuffle with
Oh,
the
yeah.
boss. You have to keep your eye on it and then hit
amazing.
it. But here's the thing. I'm gonna spoil this game for you, Jeff, because you don't care.
That's fine.
The cup shuffle, and you're like, this is the right cup. Lifts it up, nothing. I'm like,
No, it cheats.
wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then you keep shuffling. It took me 10 tries before finally the game gave me a hint, because that time his feet poked out from the bottom of the cup. This motherfucker was up in the cup, holding on, and you have to hit him again to get him out of the cup.
Wow.
In this cup. Oh, thank you.
Game is bullshit, and I kind of love it.
No, it's great.
I'm gonna play this.
I was just looking to see because I remember that I had played it a while ago, and in my brain it was it was last year. It was 3 calendar years ago. This week is when I watched. Is when I watched Funke, who is now at Larian, play it when I was at Fanway.
Nice.
That game is great. I really, really like it. I'm bummed I didn't. I think it would have been unbelievably influential if I played it as a child. To me,
it's the game
but
I always saw.
deeply appreciate that I was able
Remember
to play it.
when you go to Kmart and they had the booklet of Nintendo Summer
Yes.
2002? I would always see Wario World in it. I'm like, this looks kind of neat. And I just never played it, but now I have. So yeah, shouts to Mike for recommending that one.
I'm gonna have my treasure renaissance here pretty soon. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play Sin and Punishment. I'm gonna play their 3D games.
Treasure just makes good games.
Yep, just good developer.
Yeah.
Have they
Also a good
I was
song.
looking at their. Is it right that they haven't released anything since 2014?
They're
Are they
basically
dead?
defunct. Basically,
I think what's left is a support studio for
Yeah,
Nintendo and stuff. So
exactly.
Damn.
We're going to talk about a card game in just a second that you've also been playing, Sean. But I don't want to alarm anyone. Okay, this is like a self.
When Jan says that,
Yeah,
I know
it
immediately
never is
alarmed.
good. You know, you can just say stuff.
No, I need to preface it all. We work on a podcast where
That's
you need
true.
to present what you're talking about.
Brad's leaving.
What?
Oh no! He hasn't showed up to any of these meetings.
Quiet quitting.
Oh well, I just didn't. Have
Oh shit! I'm listening to Tech Pod. Let's go.
hey, Will. I checked this.
Now settings.
I got this picnic basket. Yeah.
It's attached storage.
Got 5 up and 5 down thanks to Sonic Internet. Not sponsored.
You're so heated about their better internet than you, and you have better internet than all of us.
Maybe
Jan, what are you
internet.
doing to yourself this time?
Okay. Anyway, I took myself out on like a little wellness excursion, right? Just like needed to not have any screen time. Because my eyes were burning. Perhaps they would be helped if I had Gunnar Optics glasses that were in my prescription or something. That's a callback, folks. Anyway,
I didn't know those were Gunners.
they totally were.
Oh my god!
I thought, let's go spend some time with some paper books. Let's go to a bookstore, and unfortunately, where I live, there aren't a lot of independent retailer bookstores. So I went to a Barnes and Noble, and I resisted the temptation, folks. But I was almost persuaded by myself to finally jump in and buy a Magic deck. Magic the Gathering.
Oh, the Gathering.
I'm
not just Magic.
Yeah, I thought you meant like card tricks, magician. Okay.
I knew what you meant.
Do that.
And I am alarmed.
But don't be alarmed because I did not purchase anything because I thought I saw the news coming out of MagicCon that
Final Fantasy, Avatar.
The Avatar one is what I have my eyes on. And if they also do an Avatar Blue People one, day one.
Nikki, you're too hot. You got cool
Eternal
down.
temp. Hi.
So yeah, I just want to put that out there that I feel like the magic bug that is taking over the video game media industry is maybe seeping its way back here. I know Matthew Rory played a lot of MCG Arena, and I don't know shit about actually playing the game.
Yeah, I should just play the video game.
Yeah, why don't you just do that?
Because I like physical stuff, and like this is an excuse to like, oh, you play Magic, I'll go over to your house, or you come over here, type of deal.
I'm sorry that I am the kind of guy that if like, everything, if I was like a very different kind of like single rich person, I would have that minimalist style apartment. And I know that's disgusting. I know it is, but I in my heart of hearts, that's what I am. I would have no physical stuff. And then it would all be like, where's the pots and pans? And then you'd open one drawer and 50 things would fall out and probably kill you.
Speaking about minimal, has anyone seen that Sigma BF camera? It looks stupid.
I only use alpha cameras.
Sigma BF camera.
Of course, Nikki would know. Thank you, Nikki. I believe it's an obscenely expensive camera that is like stupid minimal.
We should get Backlar to let us expense too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plug in just to let everybody know for the listeners at home, my camera got too hot, it overheated, so I had to go into my room and go get a fan. Jesus Christ.
Oh shit.
It's all right.
Have you tried replacing the thermal paste on it?
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry. Do you mean?
I'll just open
thermal paste.
Thanks, Brad.
No problem, Sean. Nice to meet you.
If anyone shares with Brad, make sure you tell him this is because we love him so much.
Yeah, tell him that Brad's awesome.
Yeah, like don't do it, folks. Like we love Brad Shoemaker.
We all listen to his podcast and enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. I worked with the man for how many fucking years? Of course I love the guy. Sean, cards. Yes. But I can play cards in a digital way.
Yes.
Tell me about YuGiOh Early Days Collection. That's
right. This is the game that I've been playing on my Steam Deck for the past couple of weeks for review, and it just came out yesterday, I believe. This is a very interesting collection because I'll try to keep this brief for Jeff Grubb in particular because I know the young people on call know this. YuGiOh, interesting series. Everyone knows it as the card game. It did not start as a card game. It was just a very popular manga. Maybe Nikki needs to know about this as well. It was all about...
I'm pretty sure that it was actually a way that they determined whether or not you went to hell in ancient Egypt.
Not
Sounds right to
entirely
me.
wrong, but I mean Yu-Gi-Oh for shoot in life, like this world, Earth.
Yu-Gi-Oh's not a shoot.
Oh, I hate this podcast.
He's talking about the manga where actually it was about a guy who was just deeply fucked up. He
Yes.
just was fucked up. In the manga, he burns a guy alive to death in a diner for kind of no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
So
Yu-Gi-Oh burned a man alive.
That is
No, no,
correct.
his-
let's
Yes.
try
name
this from
is-
the top. Let's try
Is
this
that what
from
a
the
trap
top.
card is?
Wow.
Yu-Gi-Oh started as a manga about this kid who like partners up with some ancient Egyptian pharaoh spirit that to punish like bad people basically, or people he deemed
like
to
the
be-
Crow.
Yeah, people very critically, it is people that he says are bad.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this guy kind of sucks. So yeah, we're gonna play Russian roulette. Anyways, what happened is there was an arc of the manga that was about the card game, which is what we know Yu-Gi-Oh as now. That took off. Now that's all Yu-Gi-Oh is.
Yeah.
But that was not always the case. And so Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection collects all the Game Boy and all the Game Boy Advance games.
Oh.
And what's interesting, why I brought up that little history lesson on Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because in the early days, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was not defined. And so it could be kind of anything they wanted to. And so it was still mostly about the card game. It's about other stuff too. And so what happens when you have this card game that's in a fictional story that doesn't exist in the real life? No rules. You can make it into anything you want. So when you take this manga and turn it into video games, because that's what you do when a manga takes off, there's no fucking rules. They just made that shit up. So
Oh,
in this
sorry to
collection,
interrupt you
yes,
real quick,
no,
Sean.
go ahead, Jan. Go ahead.
is this why Yugi is constantly cheating in the anime because he doesn't know
Yes.
the rules to his own game?
Yes.
Yes, because the rules of the game basically did not exist when the anime started. That's
Yeah.
why it wasn't until later seasons of
There's-
Yu-Gi-Oh! Where
Did
they
you
actually
play-
implemented those.
Did you play? So I was really amped about this collection until I found out that Forbidden Memories wasn't in it.
Yes. The PS1 game.
Forbidden
that's
Memories is the PlayStation
wild.
1 game, which came out almost. It was perfectly timed for when the anime came out, and they were like, "Great news! It's the fucker from TV, and he's got a
Yep.
PlayStation 1 game." And I was like, "Mom, please, please! I gotta get my hands on this CD."
He's on TV.
He's on TV. I gotta get this CD-ROM. So my mom gets me this fucking CD-ROM, and to Sean's point, the rule completely different. It's
Yes.
like all of the cards have some of the card art is recognizable and it's the same, and then some of the cards are just completely different guys that have never been seen before. But then it's all of the like the types are not actually like light, dark, like whatever. They're actually the celestial
Astrological
symbols.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
which is like unbelievably confusing. The math doesn't always math correctly.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. So it is unbelievably cool to me that Konami was like, "Oh yeah, we'll just release these GBA and GB
Yeah.
Advance or
Yeah,
Game Boy and
this-
Game Boy Advance games."
The specific game Nikki
this
was talking about,
collection.
not in this collection, but the games that are like that were on the Game Boy, where they just made up the rules, are in this collection, and that's why
Yes.
it's wacky. Like I mentioned to Jeff last night, there's one in here that is about capsule monsters. That's just Fire Emblem. It's just a Fire Emblem game where the monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh have different attack patterns on a grid. It's weird, and that's kind of neat. And what's even neater about that never came to the US. I think it's 5. I want to get this right. 4 or 5 games. I forget exactly how many. We're
For
localized.
$50.
Well, no. We're localized into English for the first time
Oh.
out of the 14 in the collection.
Oh, okay, that's
Whoa.
impressive.
Plus additional versions. There's like some Pokemon Red and Blue stuff going on with a couple of them. But yeah, it's like the first, second, third game, and then Capsule Monsters, I think, and then one other are localized into English for the first time. The games themselves, as well as the manuals. There's manuals for everything. There's boxes that were scanned in, which is kind of neat. And what I like is the emulation of each of these. Kind of cool. There's like a really nice LCD filter that has like a chromatic aberration on every single pixel, so it's like really detailed. You can, like, for the original Game Boy games, you get that pea soup green, Or, Jeff, you can get Game Boy Light Blue, Game Boy Pocket Grayscale, and like one more, I think. It's
good.
really cool. Yeah, the presentation is fantastic. And you have the weird, wacky games that make no sense, as well as the GBA games that were more like simulators, as well as a couple that were like the Pokemon TCG RPG on Game Boy. So it's a very interesting collection, I think, that I think is presented very well, too. My only gripe, and I would never bring this up with any other game, really, but because it's a collection of games, it is $50 even digitally.
Yeah.
Physically, it's a little easier to swallow because, you know, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh game. You get some cards with it, like a couple promos with it, so that makes up for it a little bit. But $50 digitally is kind of pricey for even if it's 14-something games. Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, a lot of them which are kind of just bad to play. That's a bit expensive.
I feel this is when we grade on a curve a little bit, right? It's
Yes,
Konami,
that's what I was gonna
right?
say.
So it's like
They
I
need,
want
they
you to do
literally
this.
need the money.
Yeah. We want you to do more stuff like this. If you're going to try to get away with this, hopefully we can just smack you on the wrist a little bit and be like, hey, this should be cheaper. This should be cheaper. And you'll take that to heart and still keep doing this instead of just being like, well, fine, it's too much. We won't do it anymore.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
exactly.
all
They'll
right,
take
let's
the
try to
wrong
like
lessons.
Yeah, it's like
easily
when they,
suggest to Konami maybe be a little bit more reasonable next time.
yeah, it's like when they ask you to round up your purchase to help out the
Hey,
Red Cross or
hey,
something.
if you're at home, never fucking do that. Do not do it. It's a scam. You don't do that. It just makes the amount of money that the company has to declare on their own taxes go down. You're not helping anybody when you do that. Don't do it.
Wingstop, you have betrayed me.
They have. Don't do it. Never round up.
Multiple people in chat have asked, does it have Dungeon Dice Monsters? It sure does.
Wait.
It has
Word?
It has both of the GBA spin-offs, Dungeon Dice Monsters and Board Traveler, whatever it's called.
That's awesome. I love Dungeon Dice Monsters. That was the best little mini arc. That was when I didn't understand how TV worked. And then all of a sudden they were like, actually, Yugi's playing a different game.
Yep.
And I was like, huh? For how long? And in my head, it felt like he was playing it for 8 months.
Yeah.
It was the Dungeon Dice Monsters arc, and it was probably 6 episodes.
Yeah, and then they became best friends.
Well,
And then they became best friends. Deuce Delvin. Is that what his name?
Duke Devlin.
Duke Delvin.
Devlin.
Yeah.
Deuce. I like Deuce more because it's like Dice with a U.
Yeah. Anyways,
It is.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection, I could sell it. Maybe wait till it goes down to like 40 or even 30.
Yeah, 40
it
feels like
yeah.
a good price.
Or 40 feels kind of like the
sale.
sweet spot.
I'm trying to figure out. I agree. I think $50 is too many dollars for Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games. But I'm also kind of I've come around on the I think museums should cost more money
Okay.
idea. And I think that like sometimes I think it is good to overpay for museum type experiences because then to the point that Grub was making earlier, it incentivizes people to make more stuff like it. But then also you do have to take a step back and be like, well, it is Game Boy Advance and Game Boy ROM.
it's
It
still
is
worth criticizing
Konami
them,
as
yep.
well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, just wait.
Yeah.
It'll go on sale.
I have on the rundown here another Yu-Gi-Oh entry, men's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I've been playing
Men's
men's Yu-Gi-Oh, which
Yu-Gi-Oh!
is
is gendered now? What?
no, this is just the Yu-Gi-Oh for men, and it's well, what that really is. It's just what we call it in the community. That is, I've been playing more PGA Tour 2K25.
You could have given me a million guesses. I'm not sure I would have come up with that.
I've actually this is hitting for me. I don't know how like fans of this series or golf games feel, but this one's working for me. I don't know. They just streamlined a lot, made the swing feel really good and feel like you can actually get it right, which I've struggled with because I'm bad at games. So this one's made it easier for me. So I've liked that a lot. But really, I kind of just was doing that as a joke, so I could just have one last chance to be like, hey, I am trying to stream Monster Hunter to my Steam Deck, and I cannot get it to work, no matter what I do. I can use like the Steam Link app that you could download from the Discover store to get that to like show the picture, because otherwise it's a black screen. But in that case, I can't get the inputs to work. So
You need those?
they're optional, but I like to have them.
Okay.
Yeah, so if anyone has any recommendations for how to get that to work, let me know. I don't
Yeah,
know if
for
it's something
sure.
I'm doing wrong. It's driving me crazy.
Parsec.
Parsec.
Yeah. I mean, Parsec on my Steam Deck, I haven't tried that.
I just said what Sean said.
Yeah. All right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Speaking about Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter Wilds. Sean, you've also been playing this.
Yeah.
What do you think of the game?
What do you think of the game?
Okay, here's my thing.
I've been talking a lot, Jan. You should talk.
Okay, yes. I don't think it's an issue with the game, but I think I decided to restart a new character just for poops and giggles.
Because you didn't want to spend $10 or whatever.
Perhaps. And I think I might have to restart the game again because I don't like how my dude looks right now. And
by the way, that controversy, quote unquote, on GMO this morning, that was in the review period. Just reviewers don't pay attention. Like,
yeah,
that was always there. Just want to be clear.
I saw multiple reviewers saying that that it wasn't in the review, and I'm like, okay, must not have been.
No, it was right there. It was just a menu option that like people, reviewers can't read.
Reading is so hard.
The games journalists are bad. That's my opinion.
We're always
that's the
saying
reality.
This.
Yeah, that's the real. That's our.
I suck
own
too.
reality.
Don't worry, I know everybody.
That's why none of us are employed.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, half of us are. Anyways,
is this what they tried to do to you, Grub?
It stinks. They feel like they could say what their feelings are. It's
Mike, get in here. We're revolting again.
My experience with Monster Hunter, even restarting it and knowing the whole rigmarole and the whole format, especially the early hours of the game, it is incredibly easy. It is almost too easy to a fault, but I don't take an issue with that. And I will 100% understand veteran Monster Hunter players will totally take an issue with that because your mount in this game, your chocobo lizard dude, makes this game obscenely easy in such a way that I don't believe Monster Hunter Rise did. Because Monster Hunter Rise, you still had to actively control your mount to get from point A to point B when the monster decides to switch locations. Here, I believe Jesse Norris highlighted in chat earlier this week, it is kind of just like Ubering to your next location.
Yeah.
And
you don't even have to press any buttons. It just goes.
It just goes. And you can slow it down. You can sprint. And I still don't have an issue with that. I don't have a problem that this game feels even easier. If anything, it is easier to turn my brain off and just swing away at the monsters.
Kind of want that too.
And that's the thing. Like, I have engaged with the story for 10 plus hours in my like original save file. And let me tell you, none of that information has necessarily stuck other than like,
great.
Right, I'm going to this village now, and then like we were on a boat and we saved this kid, and now we brought this kid back here. What's the deal? And now we're setting up another camp. Whatever. I don't care. Let me just cook my meat. Because like
who up cooking they meat?
Let me cook that meat. Because if anything, like the open world side of it has just made it so much easier to like just re-engage into and get back into a hunt. And it doesn't matter for me now that the hunts have become so much shorter and so much easier to do. And the thing is, like, using the focus system, it feels absolutely broken, but I do not mind it because of how excruciating it felt doing old hunts in Monster Hunter World.
I find it engaging, yeah.
Yeah, and again, like,
it's fun. It just feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Keeps me locked in.
Literally, it is a soft lock on to gather monster parts as well, because I did not personally have a fun time re-engaging in a hunt, the same hunt that was a little bit challenging just to get one specific monster part that I believe may just be RNG sometimes. But here with the focus mode and the wound system of like, all right, the part I need is generally around its head. I'm just going to swing at its head repeatedly. All right, cool. It has a wound there. I'm going to exploit that wound and go after it. And it just made hunting more fun. I still haven't really checked it out, and we'll check it out later today if you're watching live. Some multiplayer hunts, and so I can't speak to how that is either more cumbersome, less cumbersome. If anything, what I want from Monster Hunter now, bring back that insect bug zip line system that we had in Monster Hunter Rise, because that just made the verticality in the game so much more fun to just like, all right, there's a bug here. I'm gonna zip up to it and then like swing down on this monster.
Right.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm operating under the understanding that like, all right, Capcom knows that they have tuned this game in such a way to let everyone in, and we've seen that because earlier today, 1.3 million concurrent
fucking
players on
crazy.
Steam alone.
To quadruple the number of people who are playing the video game from your peak for the last one you made is nuts.
That's
But
wild.
it does sound like I don't like these games because when I press a button in a video game, I want something to happen.
Animation
Pause.
priority, yeah.
Hold.
Yeah,
Hold.
they
hold.
fixed it.
Nikki, what weapon do you usually use?
Oh, I tried the insect glaive when I was playing World. Was that the last one?
Was it with you and Dan saying like I'm gonna do the thing that looks cool, ignore the fact that it's the most insanely complicated
Well,
thing
because
in
they
the
don't
world that
fucking
feels
tell
bad?
you. They're like,
Yeah, I know,
the
that's
game-
part of the
whole
problem.
Game, the whole game is like, hey, do you want to do cool shit or hold a sword? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd prefer to do cool shit. And then I try and pick the cool shit, and then the game fucking sucks. It's like, why would I want to do this?
You're right, and Dan was right that no, they should never recommend. They should be like, "Is this your first Monster Hunter? Oh, okay. This third of the menu, you can't access this. Go away
Yes,
for now.
that would
Come
be
back
great.
later."
But instead,
Yes.
they let me do the whole thing, and I was like, I'm having a miserable time.
Yeah, no.
Because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, and none of it feels good.
The way a weapon looks is kind of the way it plays. And with Insect Glaive, do you think like using a pogo stick to fight a Rathalos sounds like it would be fun in real life? No, that's how it's
No.
gonna feel in the game.
Yeah, no,
it
for
sucks.
sure.
Yeah, no,
They
you
have a
got-
gun sword, and that also felt bad. How do you fuck that up?
if you do go back to Monster Hunter, yeah, check out like the dual blades or like the charged blades, something like that. If it
Okay.
looks like it would be fast to swing, it would probably
Just
feel a lot
sounds
better too.
boring. Like,
Oh, but
like
look.
you can't just be like, here's the biggest lizard you've ever seen in your life. The only thing that you're allowed to use is 2 knives.
Sometimes you need 2 knives.
Nikki, how do you
That's
feel about
fair.
Dark Souls?
I didn't like them until Elden Ring.
Okay, that explains a lot. Okay. Anyways, Jan, did you have more? Otherwise, I was gonna ask you some stuff.
Please ask away. I
Okay.
do. I'm only ever playing using the hammer though. I do want to experiment and use other weapons, but I just love that thing.
What is your experience with Monster Hunter?
Poked around a little bit with the Wii games, but didn't get really into it until World.
Okay. Yeah, you're in maybe a similar boat than me. I have maybe a little more experience. I got really into 4 Ultimate on the 3DS with friends and then played through like the main campaign of World. And then I played the demo or beta or whatever for Rise. So I don't have a ton of experience with Monster Hunter either. I'm somewhere like, sort of in the middle. I've played them before, but I'm not new to the series either. I'm not experienced in the series either. But a lot of what you're saying is echoing how I felt playing through this. Me and Jeff were talking to our buddy Christian last night about it, and he's super into Monster Hunter, has been for a very long time, and he feels the same way as well, where the game does feel pretty easy in general. Jan, you said the most you've gotten on a save file is 10 hours ish?
Yep.
Okay. And the main quest line, or at least until you roll credits, because they actually sort of continue the quote main quest after that, is like 20 hours. So you got like halfway ish, presumably. The difficulty gets better towards the end, as you expect it to in a video game like this. But in general, I also think once you get over the halfway point, it gets more in the realm of what I would want it to be. If you are going to make the game, you're going to change so much about the game to intentionally make it easier to get into, which also changes the difficulty. Because that's my problem here is I think the word friction has been thrown around a lot in regards to this game. They've removed friction from the game, and that's to get people in. And some people have been saying in the review period that they removed too much of the friction, and people are misunderstanding that as, oh, what, they made the game accessible, and you're saying that's a bad thing? Well, that sucks, and you suck. And I want to say,
Get him.
I want to say that I think a better term to use is something more along the lines of tension. There's a lack of tension in the game because some of the changes just break the game. I think the Sacred, your bird mount chocobo thing, breaks the game. And I like really like stretched it to see how far this could happen. It's semi-invincible. Like if a monster uses a ranged attack, it can still knock you off the sacred. But generally speaking, like for example, if you get knocked down, rather than get up
again.
and run away, it's easier.
You're never gonna get me.
Good call.
Sorry.
It's better to call the sacred in to pick you up off the ground. It's way quicker.
Oh.
And then you have iframes while the bird's doing that, and you're semi-invincible because the bird runs away and your palico distracts it. So that's one of those things where, sure, the sacred feels good to pilot around, and it's cool that you can bring your satchel in on that thing in order to have more supplies and quickly restock and everything while going back to camp. But they also made it so it takes away from some of the game. You don't have to worry about looking at the monster and saying, am I in danger? I need to like be the correct distance away. I need to dodge at the right time. A lot of that is taken away. And I know you could intentionally not cheese the game like that, but they want you to play the game like that. It's just like there is a literal like danger meter in the upper left-hand corner. And Monster Hunter has always been about looking at the monsters and seeing when they're about to strike, learning
how they work.
Literally learning how a monster works. It makes you feel like a hunter. Same with the tracking. You know, you had to track the monster down before. And now, not only are there the glow flies from World just leading you there, your sacred is by default on autopilot and just takes you there. Like one of you was saying, sorry. You just automatically go there and you don't have to press anything. And that, I think that's going a bit too far in taking away from what makes Monster Hunter Monster Hunter.
Do you think there is space for them to remove some of the abilities of the bird for more difficult? Because I know that in this game they add more lizards that are more difficult from older games. Do you think that in some of those hunts that they will remove some of the functionality of the bird?
Kill the bird.
Yeah, your lizard
They
gets killed.
would have
your bird
to.
gets killed.
Yeah.
It's so...
And it's kind of like they strip some of this away, and then they're
like the things in Sunshine where they take flood away.
Yes, exactly.
They would have to,
because those were all good.
That's kind of the only way. That's kind of the only way they could fix it at this point. Because like I said, the sacred is such a big part of the game that they want you to use, and it kind of breaks the game, as do similar parts of it.
My guess here is this game's going to continue to be this game, even with the DLC, with expansions. It will continue to be this game. They will find ways to sort of reintroduce difficulty, absolutely, but they will, I think, oscillate in the other direction with the next game, where it's like, okay, we have a new foundation, and we'll build up on top of this new ways for things to bring back that tension. Because what you described, like the expectation of what a Monster Hunter game should be, is what always sounded appealing to me. Paying attention to the monster, learning it, applying that knowledge to the next hunt, and knowing what you need to succeed. That sounded fantastic. Sounds like a really strong loop. And taking away from that does sound like a taking away from Monster Hunter situation. So I think they will be very happy with this game performing well, and then have the confidence to be like, well, with the next game, now that we have captured all these people into the Monster Hunter orbit, we can give them more next time.
Or they could do, just real quick, they could do what they did with the Switch, where they like alternate between having a more mainstream one on the consoles and more hardcore one on the portable.
Yeah.
Totally.
The number of people who told me that this is the Monster Hunter that's for beginners, and then
Vicky,
I would play
this is the Monster Hunter for beginners.
This is the Monster Hunter for
but this is the first time where people are talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, here's all this stuff I don't like because it removes the tension." To Sean, to your point, and I'm like, "Well, that's the part I didn't really like that much." So.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the part where I say, and look, I know how gatekeepy this is going to sound. It's okay if you don't like Monster Hunter.
And that's the other part of it, right?
It's okay to not like a game.
I've gotten this far without killing one of these lizards, and I think I'm gonna keep going, not killing these lizards. I have 3 questions for you, Sean.
Yes.
What's a Rathalos?
A giant dinosaur lizard thing.
Incorrect. That is a Rockstar punched fruit punch with tequila and orange chili liqueur, fresh lime citrus, and
I saw you skeeting about this, and I want one of those so bad because I love those Rockstar punched.
What's a Lala Barina?
That is the one that is kind of like a pina colada, I think, or is that the other one?
Yeah, that's gonna be a Rockstar Focus orange pineapple with white rum, something called Velvet Falernium, which I couldn't tell if that's real or from the video game or not.
What are the first 2 words you're saying?
Lala Barina?
No. Then in the description.
Rockstar
Punch?
Focus Orange Pineapple.
Rockstar Focus.
The drink, Jeff. The energy
Yeah,
drink.
it's
like-
Rockstar.
So
for
it is
focusing.
okay. It is the Rockstar brand energy drink.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes,
Is there
because
alcohol?
These are
yes,
mixed beverages.
it has
Nikki had at
rum.
Party.
Because
Okay, so
last
that's what
week,
was throwing me off. I didn't know Rockstar did that.
yes, because last week I went to the Monster Hunter Wilds launch party at the NRG Castle in downtown Los Angeles, sponsored by Spectrum, the internet
I
provider.
don't know if I want to go
you say
move
castle?
to LA anymore.
Yes, their hype house, their content hype house is called the NRG Castle, and it's sponsored by Rockstar.
Sure, why not?
And I went in there because they emailed me and they said, "Do you want to come?" And I said, "Yeah." So I
yeah,
went.
dude.
To the NRG Castle,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do, absolutely. So then I had to stand in a really long line outside, and then they finally let me in, and it was packed. And then y'all know Artemis, the TikTok
Oh.
singer boy.
Yeah.
Kiss me. I don't want to
Artemis
miss me.
smell too.
I don't want to kiss.
Yeah, he
That
did,
song.
had that HBO show about sports agents. Yeah.
Yep. Hit it from the back. It's
Artemis, the side character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's
Anyway.
the first thing I thought about.
He was there, and he put on the most sexless performance for songs that are about fucking in a club I've ever heard in my whole life.
That's kind of impressive.
Just zero fucking riz, none whatsoever up there on that stage. And then I had none of these drinks because my body is a temple. I had 2 vodka sodas. And
You
then
don't
I
need to
left.
drink a rock star. You are a rock star.
Thank
Come
you.
on.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Where were we?
They offered to let me play the video game while I was there, but
Okay.
it was honestly one of the you couldn't have paid me money if they were like, we'll give you $20 right now to go play Monster Hunter Wilds while the loudest party you've ever been to in the whole world with the worst people you've ever been around are also here. I would not have done it, and I didn't. Anyway, thanks for the invite, Capcom.
Thanks, Capcom.
So, anyways, the other side of what I wanted to bring up here today is, look, I know it may have sounded like we were just dunking on the game, just saying bad things about it, but though we were kind of just getting those out of the way because the game in general is very fun, like Jan was alluding to. Once you find the weapon that feels good to play, it is very fun to play. I still have a great time with my charged blade. Building those stacks is a lot of fun. The feel of, the focus mode allows you to just aim your attacks, which I think is very good. That's a good idea. I love that. It allows you to, it allows you to easily like chop off the tail or whatever instead of like trying to like line up your slice while like jumping from above or whatever. Yeah, I think in general the game feels very good to play. The characters are awesome. I actually care about these characters, even if the story's a little nonsense. Like, it's a great crew, and you want to hang out with them. Kind of want to see what adventures they'll go on next. I had a blast with that. I think this game is very good. Nikki Grayson from GiantBomb.com, you have your hand raised?
Hey, Nikki Grayson, GiantBomb.com. 2 questions.
Yes.
One is does the food look as good as it did in the last one?
Depends on what your graphics settings are. I'll talk about that in a second. Go on.
Okay, that was not an expected answer, but I appreciate it. Number 2, when you eat that food, is it Blizzard?
No, it is ration. So I guess it could be a lizard, but I'm pretty sure it's just like
When
their
you're
chicken.
killing these not to eat them, ever?
No, you just wear their skin.
Yeah, it's just to
but
wear
in the
their
meat
flesh.
you just kind of throw away.
Well, that's
I mean, it
just useless.
depends.
That's just sustenance, and you don't need that.
Okay,
Yeah, you don't
Nikki,
need
do you
that. Okay.
kill a spider once in your house?
Yeah, I eat that thing.
No
Okay.
waste.
So
all
I
right,
go get
you know
a
what?
straw
I
and I
respect
suck
it.
that baby right down.
Body is a temple. I get it. Okay, I alluded to it. Hey, this game kind of runs like butt. It doesn't run well anywhere. The consoles are better, but the consoles are really just running at a lower resolution to get there. That's the experience I had on my PC. The PC version, hey, I would like to remind everyone, don't throw around Digital Foundry videos for your like console war BS. Don't do it to like push your own opinion. They put the facts out there, and the people over there, they do a very good job at that, and they do a very good job of detecting like 2-frame drops. Not everyone's going to feel the same way. On my 3060 Ti, you kind of have to run at high settings because weirdly it looks not great otherwise. I did that 1440p DLSS performance. It hovered in the 50s. Not great. I kind of just got over it. It'd stutter a little bit here and there, whatever. But generally, I found it playable, at least on a so-so computer. So I thought it was okay. You lower that resolution, it'll be fine. If you're very sensitive to performance, though, like outlets like that are saying, though, maybe hold off until it gets some patches or something, because it does kind of look like just a PS4 game. It's weird that a PS4 game runs this way, but RE Engine maybe wasn't designed for this kind of stuff, like we saw with
they're
Dragon's
figuring
Dogma
it out.
2. So, yeah.
All right, folks, that was the video games for the rest of this week. If you're watching
Oh, yeah, I want
live,
to talk about Avowed.
you didn't put it on the list.
I didn't get the list.
It's the same
We're
list
building the
every
list.
week.
Can we talk about Avowed?
Yeah, talk about Avowed real quick.
Okay, that game's really fucking good.
It's
there are
so
it is so rare for me to play a video game. I alluded to it on Twitter. Someone gave me a document in the video game, and then I immediately forgot about it. And then a plot event happens in the game, and then after the plot event happens, I looked at the document and was like, "Oh, I could have stopped the big plot event from happening." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And because I didn't read the thing. There are so many choices in that game. There is no morality system in it. I was talking with John and Michael Hyam about this on VGBs yesterday. But this game obviously doesn't have a morality system, and I think that the beautiful thing about that is that like video games that have a morality system kind of fall apart for me narratively, because it doesn't make any sense, because the morality system should be the player. Like you are the arbiter of whether or not you feel good about the decisions that you're making or not.
Yeah.
And the job of the video game is to present you with the choices and then let you live with the consequences, either through gameplay or through your own actions. Like when I realized that I had fucked up so unbelievably bad because the game was like, "Hey, you should read this note," and I said, "What if I went over here? What if I went over? What if I did this bounty instead? Oh yeah, a cave, and there's a lizard in there." Really, really good. I like it. It is constantly making me reevaluate the ways that I view the world. I was deeply on the side of the voice in my head, and then they started saying some crazy shit in the last like an hour and a half of gameplay, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking. Like, this is an insane take. Like, I used to be on your side, and now I'm like, I don't know. And the idea that I'm only probably a third of the way through the game and there's still more shit for me to go, like, I have no idea where it's going to go or what the next steps are. And the ways that I move through the world and the ways that I communicate with people, I don't know what that is going to pan out to. And it's really exciting to me. And I haven't played a game that has made me feel like that in a really, really long time. That's my Avowed minute. Thank you very much.
I think this game is constantly getting reassessed. It feels like. I think the early reviews, the first reviews, were a lot of people coming in expecting it to be that Obsidian game, and they're just kind of doing a slightly different thing. I think they're making a first-person Diablo with some Obsidian flavor in there, and it really works. It's not, you're not going on the procedurally generated raids or something like that, but it's like it's an action RPG is what it is, and it feels really good to play. And then I think everything they sort of provide around that to support going out there and doing fun action RPG stuff is all like folds back in on itself to make you want to do the next thing. And so just a really kind of, I think, immaculately designed video game.
They let you sell your dead body to a woman who revives dead bodies to work as farmhands. You walk up to, you do a quest for her where you have to kill one of the ones that's gone rogue and locked themselves in a farm, and then she goes, "Hey, you look like you have a pretty good body. Would you let me buy it when you die?" And then you can be like, "No, that's fucking crazy." Or you can be like, "Yeah, fucking, I don't care. I'm dead." And then she's like, "Sick. Here's this necklace that I put on my dead bodies when I need to find them." And then that necklace lets you pull your own dead body out of the ground to fight for you as like an extra little companion thing, which is delightful. Rules. And then she gives you a down payment on your body. She just gives you cash. She's like, "Here's some of the money up front, and then when you die, I'll give you or your next of kin the rest." And I'm like, that's delightful. So it's a really, 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 really good video game.
I love hearing how you and Grub talk about this game. I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's it's just, if you're gonna go in, if you like video games, I think you'll like this. It's pretty much that simple.
Like this is a video game
sure.
ass video game.
Yep.
Good way to put it. All right. Speaking about video games, that's it for video games. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to play one in a little bit. Folks, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been a lovely week of podcasts and content. We'll see you next week for another episode of Giant Bombcast. They've been Nikki. He's been Sean. He's been Grub. I've been Jan. You at home have been doing great. Thank you if you've been watching live and hanging out. If you're watching on GameSpot, I'm sorry. Thanks.
Men's YuGiOh! Men's YuGiOh!
Men's YuGiOh! You're watching live. Stay tuned. If you're not watching live and you're listening, hey, thanks for listening. Mwah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, whoa, Grub.
I got in on that action.
All right. We'll see you next time. Mwah.